Well, you know it's not a deception that we got the two of you in the room right now. We're gonna go live, so I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. We'll go around, and then we can pick right up right where we left off here, guys. If that's cool with you. All right. Okay, and boom, bada, bing, bong. All right, we are live, and I know it's hard to believe, but I managed to get the two hardest people to get a hold of in the same room together. We have Press Reset with us, and we have Professor Doom with us, as well as Steve. Thanks, you guys. I just want to say, hey, take the floor, you gentlemen. What have you been up to?
Man, me, I've been putting out a lot of videos except for the past like 2 weeks. So it's been just a couple weeks off. You know, had to take some steps back and just take care of some other stuff. But Professor Doom, I know he's posting again a little bit here and there too. And he took a long vacation. So I'm glad to see him and everybody here. So.
Yeah, well, it's good to be here with you, buddy. All you guys. So, yeah, you're right. Posting a very little bit. I stopped for a good while here. One, because I've been working my butt off. Two, because my dad passed away about a little over a month and a half ago, somewhere around there. And
sorry to hear that, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So it's been really rough because I don't know if you guys ever noticed or saw the video that I put out to follow up after he died. He would comment on every single one of my videos. He would watch my videos. He would call me and he would give me input, or he would tell me what he thought about it. So it's like, I don't have that in my life anymore.
Yeah, that's tough. That's unbelievably tough. I couldn't imagine. My father is the same. You know, he's very awake and aware of what's going on. He watches my channel. My mother does too now. So
we got to be careful now.
I would be distraught, man. That's tough. My condolences for sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get through it, bro.
So it's been like the passion for the work has kind of been sapped from me quite a bit. So it's like, even though I go to work, you know, you'd think I'd come back home and be just gung-ho to put out a video, and it's just not there. It's like, I feel like I don't have that audience, that one audience that I really cared about to watch what I produced.
Yeah. There's a lot of that kind of, it's weird because like the whole thing's kind of evolved beyond where we were, you know, and it's gotten so convoluted and crazy that it's, I don't know, I'm starting to feel age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things that might takes a while, I'm sure. I mean, I can only imagine. So I'm hoping it will come back. You know, my advice would be, you know, him in the afterlife, if presumably you believe in that, would appreciate you eventually, you know, getting back to it. I'm sure, you know, you're needed. So, so yeah, but yeah, take as much time as you need. That is rough. Can only imagine. So, you know.
Yeah. The other thing that was really difficult was being away for so long. And then when you jump back into the mix, you're kind of like trying to catch up with everything that you missed as everything new is going on around you. And you kind of like, well, what do I do? Do I go and catch up on what I missed, or keep up with what's currently going on right now?
I have that same struggle all the time when I make videos. And yeah, let me tell you, I have that same exact struggle. Like, it's tough because when you're taking a little bit of a break, there's a lot of things you might want to cover. You might want to make a video about whatever, and you don't do it. And it's like, should I go back and should I do that? Or should I just continue on? And the best thing I found to do is to do whatever you feel like is important. And you just got to really dip your toes into it. That's what and once you do that for a couple of videos, it's like it comes right back. Like right now I'm looking at a few things. How weak the president is, the so-called president, and like how that's kind of a psyop in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just incredibly obnoxiously weak, old, and unable to talk or stand.
It's like betting on the old sick horse. Like, what's going on?
Well, it's actually it's like watching a train wreck.
Yeah, in slow motion.
In slow motion every day.
Yeah.
And with Trump, he had a lot of he portrayed a lot of strength and
yeah. Machismo.
Machismo, and just on point, in the moment, rebuttals, things like that. But
he said what everybody was really thinking and didn't want to say, like in a lot of cases, I think personally. Like
yeah, exactly. And Biden, it's just
dial tone.
It's like a dial tone. Well, the problem is you have a lot of journalists and people on the left and people who voted for Biden who are trying to justify his existence right now and trying to prop him up as being someone who isn't suffering from dementia. And you would think this is how you know that they're lying, because you can see it. Everyone can see it. The guy, everyone's tripped while walking upstairs, but this guy trips 3 times in a row and falls like on his face while walking up the stairs. Okay. And then this guy, he can't today. And I know this is all a psyop, but it's important to talk about because it's like, I mean, it's a psyop and it's not, because I think he really is like demented. He has dementia. There's no doubt about it. But he's not like in charge, and I think they even know that at this point. So this is all like an operation, some sort of weird. It's like acclimating the people to accept the fact that America is just becoming weak, and we're no longer going to be the world superpower. We're probably going to still be the global police, and they'll use our military and take advantage of us and just siphon our tax dollars. And that's one of the reasons why I think America hasn't totally collapsed, because we act as a really good tax revenue source and production source, especially for other countries that siphon off of us, like Israel.
Yeah, I'll buy
so
that.
It's like, we can't let everything collapse, because then Israel wouldn't get their $40 billion a year.
Sorry, I meant to say I'll buy that for a petrodollar.
Right. So and this is all being done by design, and it's like when Putin comes out and he challenges Biden in a debate, and obviously that's not going to actually happen. Biden said he's too busy, and this is the type of stuff that it's like everyone knows deep down that it would be an absolute demolishment, like just more of a train wreck than it already is.
Right.
And it's to acclimate us to accept the fact that America is now going to be destroyed, and it's going to wither away.
Yeah.
And it's already happening in front of our eyes. And
I think we're ready. I think we're getting close. I don't know when this is going to happen, but I feel like as if it were a movie being written, we're getting close to that final death blow. Like it's coming there. And someone is going to be the successor.
They're foreshadowing a lot of things.
Like Game of Thrones style. Like this
like
is
the cyber attack.
This is where Ned Stark gets his head lopped off, and then all hell is about to break loose.
Yeah. Well, didn't Ned Stark believe for a second that it wasn't going to happen, or for a while he was convinced that he would find a way out of it?
Well, when he was too busy snooping around, when he should have been doing a whole lot of get the fuck out, he ended up getting cornered because Cersei's kid there, Joffrey, they put him right in the high chair right away. Like they dropped him right in there, and said, "Yeah, dog, you're the king now. I want them all
Yeah.
dead."
Yeah, America is like Ned Stark. We're
Yeah.
about to be beheaded.
Yeah.
And it's already happening. And I think it's more of a withering away, but there'll be several death blows that are just apparent and undeniable. Right now, obviously, and it's been the withering away of our rights and the Constitution. But I think it's going to really come to fruition when you see the result of all the printing of dollars that has happened the past year alone. It's gone hyperbolic since 2008, but in the past year, if you look at M2 money supply, it's gone triple, quadruple million hyperbolic to the point where it's obnoxious. The chart literally goes like this. It's like going up, and then it just goes like that, like straight up.
Yeah.
For 2020, because they just printed a ton of new dollars to keep the economy from collapsing from the the cocoa
Cabana?
lockdown.
No.
The cocoa lockdowns.
Yeah.
So that yeah.
There's a whole lot happening though. I mean, it's coming in from like every single angle, and nothing is sacred, nothing is safe. I mean, whether it's our movies that we grew up with in the 80s and 90s, whether it's our, like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like it's like everything is being attacked. Like every theory, every trigger, it's all happening all at once. Like,
yeah, it's actually remarkable, and I'm glad you said that. How they're censoring everything in the past. They're censoring history. They're censoring all forms of culture pre 2014. I don't know, like, and I actually came to a realization recently that Western civilization and our cultural influence ended at around 2012, I think. It's not like
Mayan
everything
calendar.
huh? Yeah, Mayan calendar. I think that maybe was a portend of what was to come when they made that, because clearly the hegemony or the hegemonic force in the world and our cultural influence, probably the most important for everyday people around the world and ourselves, ended in 2012. Because if you look at everything culturally since then that has come out, it's all been remakes, reruns, revamps. You see all these,
like the new Pinocchio coming out.
yeah, like the new Pinocchio. Like there's no new cultural stories being
Nothing
told
new.
or cultural narratives. There hasn't been a cultural narrative since around 2012. Like, what are we doing? Like we're like pieces of shit floating through space.
Yeah, even the standard model of a story doesn't happen anymore. Like, like you have, it's like all the rules are getting broken just to keep this I don't know. It's what it's like. It's like Demolition Man. You know how they're actually rocking out to like jingles because they're just long enough. They're short enough, but just long enough to keep someone's interest for like 5 seconds.
And they're catchy, so you remember them.
A good way of a good example of this is the fact that there hasn't been a popular Christmas song written since the late 90s. Like all our Christmas music is old music from our old culture that is now gone. We're not producing anything new because it really is. I honestly think it's the withering away of Christianity because Christian culture and the religion itself was the foundation of Western civilization when they came to America, when our society was founded, when they actually created the Constitution and the law. It was all based on Christian ideology. And the fact that, Chinese culture is different and these other cultures have different governments and ways of living. stems from their religious beliefs, because your morals stem from that, and your laws stem from morals. So a lot of people don't recognize this fact that Christianity and the withering away of it withered down the essence of our morals and our culture over time, because that was the foundation of so much of it. And people didn't, I mean, a lot of people might even be listening to this and not realize that that's even a fact, because it was such a strong foundational point that has been eroded and forgotten about, that people forgot where they were going and why they were doing what they're doing. And then once that base was eroded, then eventually it all collapsed. And that's what we're seeing, like the fruition of that, because you need that cornerstone to build everything off of. That's where everything came from. You know, like, in other words, a good example of that is the fact that you're innocent until proven guilty. And what the whole philosophy was behind that was that you know, the founding fathers came to the conclusion that they would rather see, you know, 50 guilty people go free than one innocent person be put away in jail or be punished or executed or whatever. They would rather see that, because if one innocent person was executed or was put away in prison or convicted wrongly, then that would be way more of a travesty than the former, right? So that comes from Sodom and Gomorrah, the whole story with, you know, will you destroy Sodom and Gomorrah if there's 10 innocent people there? And God said, no. Okay. Will you destroy Sodom and Gomorrah if there's one? And God said, no. And then basically Lot and other members of his family left Sodom, and God destroyed Sodom once all the innocent people left, essentially.
I think what, you know, I just want to interject there. I don't mean to cut you right off completely, but I think what really matters at a time like that, when it comes down to it, it's like, what are the stakes? It's like, it's one thing, say, if the whole race of humanity is at stake, or if, like, you know, that's all we've got left. Like, what is worth, you know, what is worth it in the end, you know, like, for our, you know, combined resilience, you know what I mean? I mean, but if that's not an issue, then we got to be as, you know, good as we possibly can to each other and respect that which we built, because it's not easy to get there in the first place, to a position where, you know, where your ideals and the way you carry them out can actually be at an even keel. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah. And yeah, it's one of those things where it all stems from where you derive your morals, you know, and that comes from a root, and people, well, nobody really thinks twice about it, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of the reasons. Like, if you look at Chinese culture, they don't really have that same mindset. And, you know, their laws and stuff and their government all throughout his time, even in ancient, like, Chinese culture, it just was different in many different ways. That's why if you go there, you know, you go to China, you go to Japan, there's certain things where, as a Westerner, I mean,
I wish I knew enough to comment on it. I really do. I wish I knew enough to comment on. I think I do, but just when I think I know stuff, it's like, fuck, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, there's a lot. I mean, I'm not an expert on China by any means, but, like, you know, there's a lot of things that they just find culturally hugely different, and you just be looked at funny. Yeah. Even in Russia, one thing that Westerners do is they like to, especially men, they're always taught to, like, share their feelings and stuff like that. I don't know where that one comes from, but but in Russia, you just be looked at as disgusting if you ever did that as a man. So
they would, like, certain places, especially like Eastern Europe, like, you know, the Eastern Bloc, and like places like, you know, Russia, like, you would be laughed at. Like, I mean, this sounds horrible, but I remember a Serbian gentleman that I went to programming school with back in the 90s, late 90s. And it was when Clinton was bombing Serbia. And then it was a crazy little furball that they had there with the, who was it now? I don't want to misspeak. But anyway, there's basically a terrorist uprising. Serbia got the blame for it. They got attacked. And, he was giving me a little bit of insight into where he came from, because they were literally calling him back to the motherland to take up arms against the Clinton armies. And he told me, he's like, yeah, he goes, 911, you don't have that out there. He goes, no, you call 911 and say, oh, my husband's beating me. They'll laugh at you. It's like, and it's
soon you won't have that here either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, eventually certain morals get stripped away, because I think you get used to survival. And like, when the bar gets set really low, I mean, anything's a stretch. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's a good point. When survival is not like a major issue, then that's when you can see where the culture and society's morals will come from better. Because when survival is an issue, then a lot of morals for a lot of people will go out the window. Not everyone, but for a lot of people. I mean, just look at that movie you mentioned earlier about cannibalism. Was it?
Which one was? Oh, Alive. Yeah, exactly.
Alive. Yeah. Again, I've never seen that, but man, if it ever got to that point, people would be that would be a really bad situation for America. I hope it.
And
never
that was
gets to
actually a
point.
drama too, not a horror.
Well, I was just going to say, you got to watch out for Gematria Database there. You fall asleep next to him, he's liable to gnaw on your arm by the time you wake up. So just watch yourself around him. But, this reminds me of the South Park episode, actually. I think they get locked in a mall overnight or something.
Yeah. And
I'm a pescatarian though, so I don't eat meat anyway, other than fish.
Fish, or you'll have to go swimming in the ocean for a little
you'll be
bit.
okay.
Yeah, maybe you can eat a mermaid. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
There you go.
But I think it actually probably will get to that point in the cities, in the big cities, unfortunately. I think that time's coming, and I think we're in a lot of trouble, like a real lot of trouble. And I personally am doing everything I can to prepare for the dollar not being worth as much money in the next few years, and then eventually just getting worse. For food shortages, both engineered and just uncontrolled, and for increased violence and racial, fake racial tensions and all that. That's all engineered to a major degree, not completely, but usually they just push people in that direction, and then even the globalists don't have control of it after a while, and they just unleash a demon. That's what I'm seeing. So, and a lot of that is going to be the nature of this, I think, in the next 10 years or so. And I'm doing everything I can to prepare for it. So, I bought a whole bunch of silver and gold, mainly silver. I bought actually, I just got the silver in, and really cool, like silver rounds, actually, that are like, I have like a Second Amendment round and some of the just cool little memorabilia sort of things. And
Nice.
Yeah. And crypto too. I'm highly invested in crypto, and the storable foods. That's the most important thing, because all that goes out the window really if you don't have storable foods.
Yeah.
And protection if you can. Lots of guns, lots of ammo. So.
Indeed.
I took an interest in things like bushcraft and what have you, and got into learning how to make my own crossbow strings, how to carve bows, things like that. Like just so you have that as an option. And I urge everybody, just if you're not picking up a skill in your spare time, like why not? You got to ask yourself,
Yeah, I actually need to get more into that. I definitely need to do more bushcraft type of stuff, because I used to do a lot of that actually as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And into my early 20s, I was that guy always in the woods throwing parties and camping and
Yeah.
having a good time out in the woods, and
Young days love that shit, man. Being young and being out in the woods, like it's just awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
I need to get back to that. I need to get back to that.
The last time I did it, I was snowed out on a river there. That was crazy. In the Fraser Valley, -30 below, 3 feet of snow, living in a tent. Nothing like the wilderness.
That is some hardcore stuff right there.
Oh, shit. I got the hell out of there before I got completely snowed in. I remember chaining up my.
How did you not die?
Oh, I chained up the freaking tires on my Explorer. I got the hell out of there before it got worse, because it did get worse. And I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really serious situation, man.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be nice.
Below in the tent.
It was supposed to be awesome, and then I don't know. There's a friggin' solar
no
flare.
That's no joke, man.
It was crazy. But dude, what do you figure, man? Like, I guess you've been able to kind of look at things from the outside, looking in a bit. And what are you seeing, man?
Well, I can see everything going to hell in a handbasket. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, we got vision for that.
I mean, I think everybody can see that. They don't need my psychic abilities to tell them all that. But
yeah, right.
Dude, it's some of the worst fears. I don't think that the people who are on the same wavelength that we are, you know what I mean? Like the sheep, the people who daily go to their job or come home and watch the news on their TV, they don't have a clue as to what is going to happen or how bad it's going to be.
Yeah. And
those kind of people are not prepared for anything. And when it's going to get really bad, yeah, they're going to become victims.
Yeah.
And pretty quick.
And the more dense the urban space that you live in, the more trouble you could find yourself in. If you don't even have the slightest plan, you're in trouble, guys.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And hey,
it's going
to heaven or hell forbid, man. Like, however the saying goes, I mean, I want nothing but the best to happen for everybody, but like, you got to have a plan, hope for the best, but you got to be prepared for the worst. And I mean, as cliche as it sounds, it's darn true, man.
Yeah. Those are the most dangerous locations you could be in when it all goes down. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be become victims. You're going to see a side of humanity you didn't think that we would ever witness.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how bad it's going to get.
Yeah. And it's I don't even know what the proper word is. I mean, it's descriptive to say it'd be total anarchy in the streets, but that's not even true, because anarchy technically is just it's a form of lawlessness, but it's not going to be that. It's going to be pandemonium. Like, there's not even a word for what it will become like once it sinks in. Like, once it sinks in that there is nothing, believe me, everywhere there is things, you're going to be on high alert.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many people out there who are used to having some kind of assistance if something goes wrong. Oh, well, let me call 911. Yeah, well, they'll take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna have that. And those people who rely on somebody else to fight their battles or to protect them or to whatever, that's not going to be there.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's going to get crazy.
Yeah. I mean, even people putting the focus on like the wrong things, like it's like toilet paper suddenly goes into like regress mode where like they can't keep it on the shelves fast enough. It's like, I'd be just eliminating it completely from the equation. I'd find another way, whether it's a bucket and a rag or what, but I'd just remove it from the equation. Like, there's certain things where you just say, okay, life has to completely change, and it takes a lot of restructuring, a lot of rethinking, and it puts people outside of their comfort zones for sure because they'd be lost. But I
Once
mean,
the cops start using those, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, no, nothing. I just wanted to say I didn't want to be fear mongering here, but I mean, this is a reality, a potential reality of where things are probably going to go. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Gematria.
Yeah, once we start, or we allow those cops to use those dogs from those robot dogs from the Boston Dynamics,
Mm-hmm.
and then they put guns on them, then there's no getting around that.
You know, I'm a big
We're done
supporter.
after that.
I'm a supporter of technology, but depending on how it's utilized, of course. Like, you know, you can use technology in a healthy, constructive fashion, or you can use it literally for destructive or for control, you know, purposes. I mean, like they've got robots literally that will eat the protein that's on a goddamn battlefield. So, like, yes, we're talking about cannibalistic droids here. It sounds
Well,
silly.
they're not cannibals because they're droids, right?
Well, that's right. They're just very voracious, hungry, protein-eating
carnivores.
droids.
They're just beasts.
They're
But
just,
like,
yeah. But you know, it's bizarre though. I mean, like, you know, you listen to what I just said and you go, oh yeah, well, you've been watching too much sci-fi. No, it's actually a real thing.
sure. Well, no, it's not. I mean, everyone knows at this point that that stuff's real. I mean, I don't think that's a secret anymore. But it's funny. I saw the headline to an article earlier today, actually, where I didn't read the article because I didn't. It was like a screenshotted headline, and I'm pretty sure it was real. I presume it was real because it's not that outlandish, but it's just really funny. I guess there was some lady who like went up to one of those police robots in, I think it was the UK or wherever they have them right now that are going around policing parks, telling people to be 6 feet apart. I know they probably have them in multiple countries, whatever, but she walked up.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Singapore, they have them.
Yeah, she walked up to the robot and said, "Excuse me, could you please get out of my way? You know, I'm trying to walk my dog by here," or something like that, right? And the robot told her to go away, and then walked away and started singing a song, and like whistling and humming. But this is like the robots are like
shit.
just laughing at us now. So where I think this is going, I'm serious. You know, I read that.
Shit,
I'm like, this is funny.
Like, no,
I don't know.
that's like short circuit.
Oh no, I'm just thinking if you have a robot walk up, say, you know, please stay 6 feet apart. You have 20 seconds to comply. You know, go total N209.
Well, this robot sort of just scoffed at her and laughed at her like she was a joke and said, "Nah, screw you." And it's
Are you sure it wasn't a person like talking through the robot?
That's actually a good question.
That's hilarious.
Because that's what they were doing with the corona.
That's actually a
at
good
first.
question.
In China, they were telling the old people with drones, and they would like actually yell it from the drone.
Hold on.
So it's not far fetched for them to put a microphone on a robot.
I don't think it's far fetched either way. But let me see. Here we go. I think this is it. Police robot told woman to go away after she. Hold on. I got to turn off ad blocker. It's just popped up. Worst freaking timing.
You can share your screen too if you like.
I mean, it's really just the headline that gets me. Okay. Police robot told woman to go away when she tried to report crime, then walked away singing a song. That's what it was.
Yeah, but I think it's clickbait. It's like one of those things that gets you to like read the article, and then therefore you got to go through the whole.
And now the talking monkey.
It's probably they're probably obviously. You know,
it probably refutes the actual statement in the.
Yeah, let's read it. Let's read it. Hold on. Okay.
Let's see.
A police robot told the woman to go away after she tried to report a violent brawl breaking out nearby, then trundled off while singing a song. Coco Gabbara, rushed over to the motorized police officer and pushed its emergency alert button on seeing the brawl break out in Salt Lake Park, Los Angeles last month. But instead of offering assistance, the egg-shaped robot, whose official name is HP RoboCop, barked at Cabrera to step out of the way.
You can't make that shit
Whoa.
up.
To add insult to injury, the high-tech device then rolled away while humming an intergalactic tune, pausing periodically to say, "Please keep the park clean."
Was it Intergalactic by like the Beastie Boys? That would be hilarious.
That doesn't sound like it was a remote. I mean, well, as far as we know, as far as the article
and
says.
Cabrera said to NBC News, "I was pushing the button, but it said to step out of the way. It just kept ringing and ringing, and I just kept pushing and pushing." A concerned bystander thought the 5-foot-tall robot might have needed her face before it began to work, so she motioned, or she crouched.
Crotch.
What am I? What's on my mind?
Crotchety.
So she crouched down in front of its camera, but the egg-shaped device still didn't work, forcing Cabrera to call 911 on her phone instead. Officers from Huntington Park Police Department cops finally arrived 15 minutes later after the row had ended. It left one woman with a bad head wound, which saw her stretchered into an ambulance and taken to a hospital for emergency treatment. So yeah, man.
Oh, it attacked her? I don't understand.
No,
How'd she get the head
robot didn't attack her. She was reporting a brawl nearby. And,
okay.
And the robot said, "Please get out of the way," and just started humming an intergalactic tune.
Okay, now you've seen RoboCop, right? The original?
A long time ago.
Do you remember the Ed
Your
209
move, creep.
scene? The Ed 209 scene in the office?
No, I don't remember.
Oh, it's where they're
Well, it's
showing
what
off the
happens-
brand new robot, and it's the bipedal one that comes in. It's got the Gatling guns for arms, and it's like they're having like a board meeting, but he just throws the other guy a gun and says, "Here, point it at the thing." It's like, okay, it's like,
Yeah.
put your weapon away. You have 20 seconds to comply. And he's like, all right, tosses the gun away, and then he's like, I said, put the gun away.
Yeah,
you have 15 seconds to comply. It's like, I did, and he just gets blown away anyway. It's horrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Horrible board meeting.
So,
It's like,
so
"You
it
have 20
reminds me
seconds
of
to
that in
comply."
a sense.
It's great.
Well, the thing about robotics, it's kind of a
Because of the malfunction element. And like, oh, it's dangerous, but it only becomes dangerous because you didn't follow the instructions because of the malfunction.
Unless it was maybe
Didn't
the
see
guy
that.
was an asshole. I don't know. Maybe he had it coming.
well. I think
Good point.
that's actually the next frontier in many ways, robotics and AI, and everyone kind of knows that at this point. But it's going to really come into fruition probably in a decade, and you're going to see vast AI and
Well,
robotics.
2030 is supposedly, the Agenda 2030. So like they're probably going to eventually roll it out. I've been hearing about something called 10G, which is something with the
10G.
I guess they just skipped all the other G's. And just
Well, all the G means is generation. So I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
It sounds
well,
like a
it's-
brand name, to be
it was-
honest. Maybe
it was for like a house. Like
yeah,
for,
but how
like,
they're really going to do
aquatic
it?
house type of thing.
How they're going to do it? I mean,
Like-
they'll just have faster internet,
like
whatever. But I mean,
5G internet. There's nothing new about 5G. Like it's as old as radio itself, almost, like the actual technology itself.
Right,
But
right.
It's just the way it's being rolled
And
out.
it's been used as a weapon.
It's
and
fifth
and it was
generation.
used as a weapon. in the
yeah,
past.
it's definitely going to be used as a weapon. But I mean, like the whole destination for this, where it's going, is to have an AI consciousness that just makes all our decisions for us
And knows where everything is in real time, basically.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing, and it's not
Well, and
like
then that creates. Oh, go ahead.
like I can't say having AI is bad, because it can make things more efficient. But how far does that go? Because the possibilities are just. It's scary, because then obviously the old adage where the AI just is now your master, right? Because
we touched on Elon Musk there a couple of days ago. There,
right, we did, yeah.
and-
That's a good segue there.
Yeah, and it was funny because like I kind of like his attitude towards it, because he's frightened to hell of it. And he's like, AI can be used for good. It can be used for bad. I say just stay in front of it. That's his motto. Like, you can't disagree with the logic there. And I mean, truly, if he's got no intentions in either direction, let's just say he's unbiased in that sense, then I don't disagree with him. Like, I don't disagree with his logic there.
I'm conflicted because, well, here's the thing. It's
definitely conflicting.
In unknown territory. I think it could be the Antichrist, personally, but I also think it's
the building of the Antichrist, right?
I don't want to disregard some of the tools God gave us as all just being possibly demonic or anything like that, because that's just hogwash too.
Yeah.
But here's where it's going, and this is where I see it's going. So with true AI, it would just learn from itself, and it wouldn't need us to begin with. And even if you were in front of it, it would go around you.
And what would it be learning too? Like, we wouldn't be able to conceptualize what.
Well, we wouldn't be able
to.
Yeah, it could lie to us, right? And here's the thing: like,
it could ignore us. It could ignore us entirely.
It could ignore us.
Can it have emotion? Because if it has emotion, then it can lie. It can't lie unless it has emotion.
Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, it can still lie, but I mean, like the whole thing.
You can program something to lie.
Sure. So the whole thing is, I kind of get concerned where I see where blockchain is going, right? And I know Elon is highly into blockchain. I am highly into blockchain, and I know a lot about it. And there's now AI systems being built in blockchain, because blockchain now, it's gotten to the point with smart contracts and smart chains like Ethereum, BNB, like Cardano, like many others out there now. There's a few where you can actually build like a symbiotic decentralized system. And Singularity Net is one of the projects that's building an AI system within Ethereum that's going to purportedly become like AI and conscious and be able to make decisions.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that. I just, before you continue there, Tom, just hold that thought. I just wanted, for the listeners, I just wanted to break down the difference between blockchain and cryptocurrency. They're not one and the same thing. Like, cryptocurrency uses blockchain technology, but just keep in mind that the technology itself is literally a ledger and a transaction system that proves itself through distribution and recognition and agreement. It's a decentralized system for those reasons and can be used for lots of different things, not just representing currency. Anyway, go ahead, Tom. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out.
Definitely. I keep forgetting that, not everybody knows what blockchain is, and it's funny because we're in like the top 1%, I guess, when it comes to the knowledge of how blockchain actually works in the world. It's kind of funny. And I do think that it's the new frontier. So I think, just to preface a lot of this, you had the 90s and into the 2000s, it was the PC era. And then you had the late 2000s into basically now, like right around now or a few years ago, that was the mobile phone era, right? And that was like the technological frontier. And now blockchain is like the thing of the decade. Like, it's just going to explode, totally explode. And I think everything is going to be decentralized. Web 3.0. Not everything will be decentralized, because a lot of it will become centralized, and it's going to be harnessed over the years to be more centralized and controlled, because there are people who are control freaks that run the world that will get their hands into it and start screwing it up somehow. They'll figure it out. And of course, the thing is, just like the internet when it was created, there's still countless vast strongholds on the internet that will never be corrupted, or at least haven't been corrupted, even though everything's been centralized to such a degree that you have a couple companies that can censor you on the spot on the internet. on social media, which really drowns you out completely. But in actuality, you're not really banned from anything except a big platform.
That's right. And your entry points into said platform too. Like if your entry points are guarded, they can throttle or limit or control that data connection, or that entry point, I should say. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, and you're a perfect example of it, which you've built here. So I mean, the whole thing is sort of like this conundrum where and I know everybody does this in the crypto world, the blockchain world. They compare the emergence of blockchain to the emergence of the internet in like the 80s and 90s, right? Where a lot of people didn't recognize how useful it was going to be yet, because they just didn't see through the matrix on it yet, and they couldn't see how this would change the world yet. You know, a lot of people would have scoffed at the idea, what, you're gonna buy a pizza online, you know, in the early 90s.
How the hell?
You know, you're gonna what? You're gonna like, who the hell would want to do that? You could just go to the pizza store, you know, or you're gonna you're gonna
I'll give you a good example. My father, I said to my dad, I go, well, don't worry. I mean, one of these days, people are going to be, you know, keeping their data off site. Like, it's going to be like online and things like, I used the term cloud, but it wasn't even actually coined yet as a phrase. I said out there in the clouds, you know, and it was funny because my dad thought I was crazy. He's like, no, there's no way that people are going to keep data off site. You know, he's like,
you want to be able to see it. I want it written down on a piece of paper. Like, it was just the vision of how people thought, right? It wasn't like because they just didn't think about it enough. They didn't think about the possibilities enough. You know, you tell somebody who's never even thought about it, like what the
my
internet,
closet full of backups is proof, you know. Like, he's got like just hordes of freaking backup discs.
Look, I have a 5 1/4 floppy right here.
300,000 of them.
Yeah, I have a 3.5 floppy A. All right, this is the proof. Here, look, AOL 1.0 version 1.0. Yeah, I actually had that because my father was an early internet pioneer, and that's not even that early internet. It was the early 90s, but I mean, and he was on the internet at work. You know, like the commercial internet at work in the 80s, but
it was a fun thing because we used to do all the, you know, BBSing and sending email messages through like Fido Opus networks on using phones and shit, right? But we had a FidoNet actually opened up an email distribution overseas using the internet, so we could pack in all of our network mail into one big lump, like a big zip file. It gets sent across, and then suddenly like 35 networks just dump out into a brand new Fido Opus compatible network. It was bloody brilliant.
Remember chain emails? Remember that?
What's that?
Remember chain emails?
Oh, real chain emails. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
Where people would get like these emails that say, if you don't do this, this, and this, you're going to have bad luck for the next 30 days or some shit. Like,
how'd you get my email, motherfucker?
Yeah. And it's like, just came from a random, and people really did it. It's like, send this to 25 people on your email list now. And then also, I don't know, do something else. And if you don't send it to 25 people, you're going to have bad luck for 7 years. So people didn't want, they were superstitious. They were just like, okay. And they would just do it. Like, think about how stupid that is.
I've gotten several of those, but I never answered them.
Oh, I probably sent out a few too. Cause I was like, this is when I was like, 12 years old or something.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's not, a lot of them were sort of benign because they didn't really like have a link or a virus. They were just like trying to get it. They thought it was cool to have an email.
They just wanted you to share it.
Yeah, they just wanted you to share it for like no reason. It was kind of like
just to keep it going.
Yeah, just to keep it going for fun. And I used to do. I mean, you know, why not? You know?
That was my first the first real paywall, because no matter what kind of computer I owned, whether it was a Commodore 64 or an IBM XT or whatever it was, I could always use something to do whatever the big thing was at that time. Okay, if it was 8-bit sound, okay, I'll use the Amiga. Blah, blah. We had something, but the internet was the first real paywall. It was like, ah, shit, I've got to have like Windows 3.1 for work groups at the very least. I got to get the TCP IP stack version, whatever. It's got to be at least a Pentium to do that at first anyway, because you had to have whatever the going rate was.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a funny time because like I didn't even want to be on the internet. I already knew what it was. Like I was a diehard old school fan of like, you know,
MS DOS.
yeah, and using a modem to
Yeah.
the telephone, and you know,
Oh yeah.
fucking, I was kind of a, I guess, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember it. And
50,
yeah, those were the good old days, man.
yeah, man.
I remember going on, AOL 1.0 when I was maybe 7 years old or something.
Take a half an hour for a JPEG, like 640 by 480.
Oh yeah, you would wait
like,
like 20 minutes to load a picture.
Wait for it to go like this.
Yeah.
It's like, I see a boob. I see a boob. Remember, it would
Yeah.
take a little while for it to like formulate. I don't know why I did this. Like, no, but yeah.
Yeah, but well, that's another thing with porn. Imagine what kids have access to now. And I was watching this. Not watching. I was looking
Whatever
at.
we have access to, really.
No, I was looking at this meme, and it said it was like a chart that like showed how people, especially males, young males, ever since porn got like really easily accessible the past 10 years, their rates of virginity grew and grew. By age 25, whatever it was, like how many percentage of especially men that didn't lose their virginity before 25, it shot up dramatically ever since porn has become readily accessible. It's actually like a psychological weapon of warfare.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Well,
on the population.
Last time we were on with us, we were talking about Yuri, what the fuck, the Russian guy, the KGB dude that
Yuri
we talked
Bezmenov.
About. I think that's his name. Yeah.
Demoralization in Western civilization.
He said all within 2 generations. He said, there'd be the primary generation, and the subsequent generation would be absolutely fukered. And yeah, that was pretty accurate.
That's absolutely what's going on.
That's pretty
you have pornography being pushed, which weakens men, which
you get addicted to. It becomes an addiction.
And then it morphs their brain so that they get instant dopamine hits. It's like a drug.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like doing heroin or coke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Instagram is really, really, really.
Yeah, it's
really bad for
a
that.
lot of social media is like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's so destructive on humans that it's unspeakable. But also you have the obvious demoralization in pop culture with Cardi B, for instance, during the Grammys with her WAP, which stands for wet ass pussy.
Oh, I heard all about that. Like, what the? I mean, and you know, it was
porn on stage. It was just
it's basically porn on stage. Yeah, and then
literal porn.
Bill Burr makes a few jokes. I mean, I don't know.
It was porn without nipples.
Yeah,
but
they make the big deal about Bill Burr, and I don't. Well, what the hell was he doing hosting the fucking Latino Awards anyway? Like, well, whose idea was that? Like, to put him in that position. Like, Bill Burr cracks a few jokes. Oh, he made a feminist joke, and then
he cracked a joke, but like a long time ago, and they tried to say he was racist, but his wife is like black.
Hello.
And so this is the type of degeneracy you're seeing, and they're banning things that are wholesome and things that are slightly controversial, but not even really. I mean, they banned Mr. Potato Head because he was Mr. and not gender neutral.
Now he's just Potato Head.
Yeah. So this is the type of stuff. So they're going to ban Dr. Seuss, Mr. Potato Head. They're going to ban what's the Christmas song there they banned a few years back?
It's beginning
Maybe
to.
they'll just get rid of the Mr. and Mrs. altogether, and then people
sure, and
not have like husband and wife recognition kind of
It's
thing.
beginning to sound a lot like Christmas could
Because
get banned because you know
what it was?
It's offensive to deaf people.
Yeah, I mean everything.
Well, because
you can find
like in these
wow.
days, like when a woman is referred to as Mrs. or Miss or whatever, it's supposed to be like they basically tell you, no, I'm Mrs. or I'm Miss, because they want you to know
It's just
whether they're with a person or
it
not.
shows how afraid people are of pronouns now. I mean, it's like Jesus, like, you know, and like this whole woke culture and this cancel culture stuff has got to stop. I mean, it's like not only is it ruining lives, like legitimately ruining lives, like people's careers are getting destroyed just for having an opinion and not agreeing with a certain, you know, demographic or a certain bunch of people. Usually the blue check marks on Twitter, like, you know, let's be fair and reasonable here. And they just come out of every corner.
Trending.
And
do you think this could end up do you think this could end up be the snake eating itself? So in other words, if you
the Ouroboros,
right, if you keep encouraging this, maybe we should be accelerationist about this and just tell them to keep canceling everything, because soon they'll be canceling themselves. Like, well, I mean that literally.
Eventually,
yeah.
it has to.
I mean that literally, because
well, they're already starting
Thomas
to turn.
Sheridan's perception.
They're already starting to turn on themselves. Like they've already proven,
the Irish guy.
Like almost like cannibalistic ants. Like if they start getting cornered, like they will start turning on each other and like clawing at straws just to get away. Like they've been caught a couple of times. It's just they have such numbers, and most people are afraid of them for whatever reason. That could be their career, what's at stake, or some people truly just feel bad because they think they've offended somebody when really all they've done is they just, you know, kicked a hornet's nest and they want blood. I mean, it's
well, you have here, and the reason why I mentioned that is because the editor-in-chief at Teen Vogue just resigned because there was a scandal that broke out regarding some things she tweeted back when she was a teenager, like 10 years ago, which might have been offensive to Asians or something.
Oh yeah.
And this was an SJW, like total, you know, leftist cancel culture advocate. And they outed her.
Yeah.
And she had to resign. Alexi Command, or McCommand. Alexi McCommand is her name. So yeah, they're already doing that. That's why, you know what? I'm actually at the point, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of at the point where I think we might be better off encouraging all of it.
Well, you know where I'm at, Tom.
Well, just be extreme about it, like.
Well, that's it. That's just it. Like, I want to joke about things again. I don't
want
to take things so serious that I have to feel like looking over my shoulder. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. Like, it's like I want to enjoy movies again. You know, like, like I'm not saying
good movies anymore though. That's
no, but that's just it. That's just it. I want to enjoy these things again. But if I want to go back. You know, I kind of want to go back to the good old days. But then again, listen. I mean, we got to ride this out. This tidal wave of shit's coming.
There's no going back, man.
No,
I trust me. I wish we could go back too, but I'm at the point where I just want to get this over with and rip the Band-Aid off. So I almost think not literally, but sort of in a detached way.
Yeah.
In a detached way, we should just be like, you know, you want to take the vaccine, please just do it. Just do it.
Let's just shine the lights on things as we see them, man. Like, you know.
Yeah. Like I would suggest not to take it. You know, that's me. I'm not a doctor, of course, not, you know, medical advice. YouTube, I support the WHO and everything they say and do. They are the masters of all reality. So just to be clear, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What do you guys think about doing or having a parallel society? Because I've been hearing about that with other places.
Parallel what?
Venturing society.
Yeah, but I mean, that takes a really long time to do. Like that. That's
just moving towards moving towards it. And
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean
like
that's already
not
happening. Like
being along with the other people.
yeah, I mean that's
Whatever.
already happening, and I'm totally for that. In fact, I think it's really the solution. But that's such a long-term goal. It's really it's tough because right now everybody's so symbiotic with the system. I mean, just the fact that you use the Babylonian magic squares to buy your your groceries and stuff, and or even go to the grocery store at all, we're subject to being part of this. But I think that the solution ultimately is gathering with like-minded people, mainly in your local community, but online too, and forming local bonds with people who are on the same page as you, that want to create a society locally, at least, because it's not that much that goes into it to get a community that is able to trade with each other, that has the different skilled fields of trade and the different shops and resources for food and water, and get everybody on the same page that just is about living in our own way. That's, I mean,
Right.
just look what the Amish do. Just look what even you could say like Mormons kind of do it too, but I mean, like, this is something that can be done and is going on actually in many cases, but this is mostly in rural areas.
Right.
It's not going to happen in the cities.
Right. I'm just bringing attention to it a little bit.
Yeah, no,
because it's
I
probably
totally,
not very known.
I've been talking about, I don't know if you watch my videos, but I've been talking about how that's the solution for like the past year mainly.
That's kind of like what we're doing here with these alternate social media sites, like with Blitter, BeerTube, and
right, exactly,
Cloud 42 and what have you. I mean, like, we're just, I'm not breaking, like
Godzilla.
Yeah. We're not really reinventing the wheel. We're not doing anything spectacular or new. We're just taking control of our own little chunk of the internet and doing our own thing with it, and federating with others that are doing the same thing. And like, if all of us were doing that, we wouldn't need to have Google. We wouldn't need to have, any centralized system that is not working towards our better interest. I mean, I think more of these services would change and would redevelop their strategies if we were the ones holding the, basically their bottom line in check, And that's
but like I said, like accelerationism is, while simultaneously while we're doing this, is probably our best bet, because and man, this sounds so cold, but like if these people want to degenerate and start canceling each other and start eating their own tail, so to speak, the snake eating its own tail, then they're just going to wither away eventually. And then eventually, if they keep putting guys like Biden in office and other people like him and trying to control puppets that aren't conscious, eventually things will just fall apart. And I think also the degeneration and demoralization on a cultural level to our society happening on a mass scale is going to put people even in levels of power at the middle level that aren't competent because they weren't raised properly and they're weak. I think that you're going to have eventually everything start falling apart in that regard. But also, I mean, these people taking, the vaccine, hey, eventually they're, okay. So a good way to look at this is the people who are traditionally, more freedom-minded, and I guess you could say by today's standards, kind of conservative, I guess. But that's kind of a, that's sort of a fake dichotomy.
It means something different to everybody right now, which is a really hard metric to get at.
Yeah. But my point is they're more family oriented, and they're more likely to have more children and raise them properly and morally. Whereas the other people who are taking the vaccine, who are buying into the propaganda that, Cardi B, WAP, is the empowerment of society and women, and that homosexuality is the highest standard in the world. and that we should all worship, the trans god or whatever it is. These people eventually will all fall to their own destruction. And then they're also taking the vax, which, hey, look, since you're airing on YouTube, I don't want you to get deleted. But there are some people, crazy conspiracy theorists, that say it might like eventually sterilize people, like in the long term, or kill them, or give them cancer or something.
Oh, just like those that did actually get sterilized by mistake.
Yeah, but those are all crazy conspiracy theorists.
Oh,
so anyway,
or did you hear about the Bad Batch? There was apparently a Bad Batch.
I heard about the Bad Batch, yeah. But
Star Wars.
But I mean, in the end, I think that this it's almost like
reminded me of the bad acid from the
we're
70s.
creating an arc. We're creating an arc, like Noah's Ark, that metaphorically, figuratively, we'll be able to ride the storm, and that's what creating our own society is about. Yeah. And this is what having our own platforms is about. Yeah. It's so we can still reach out to the people that are going to count and are going to survive through this, spiritually, culturally, literally survive through it. I
think also, I mean, as long as we're not getting completely, EMP'd or whatever, 99.9% of everything you do is digitally recorded anyway. Make a good go of it, man. Like, like just, hey, put your best foot forward whenever you can. I mean, shit, no one's perfect, but no one's asking anybody to go too far outside of their regular day. But I mean, we're kind of in this shithole together. I mean, I wanted to push things over to Professor Doom. He's been quiet in the corner there, but I have a feeling he's been listening. What's going on there, sir?
I have been listening. Well, what I mean, basically, you guys have all covered it. This whole parallel society. You know what? Let me tell you this. The whole reason why this country was set up the way it was, so you didn't have to live differently. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you didn't have to. One person degrade somebody for their religious beliefs or their, so this whole thing about this parallel society.
Yeah. The quality of your life shouldn't denigrate itself just merely by existing.
Right. Exactly. We got all of this political correct bull crap going on. This gay lesbians, they're going and they want a cake made, right? So they're saying, "Oh, you don't want to make it. You're intolerant to our homosexuality." Well, aren't you just being intolerant to my intolerance? So we can play this game all day long.
Yeah.
The whole thing is the thing is it's gotten so stupid. Now, one could say that we have progressed. We have from the 50s, 60s, we went from this really high charged racial culture to now you see the older people who are still with us who were in those days. That they've changed with that. So what I'm saying is that what we're going through right now, all of these changes, well, they were for the good. Now we're getting ready to change for some really, really bad. I mean, look at these millennial kids. These kids are being like this Common Core crap. They're being dumbed down. What's the purpose? Is it?
They want them just smart enough to be able to push buttons. Like,
did you know they're being taught now that, or at least they're trying to push this in schools, that they're being taught that America was actually founded in 1619. Because they want to disregard the Constitution, the Founding Fathers, the Declaration of Independence, because the men who created it happened, or at least some of them, happened to own slaves. So they want to disregard and throw out the baby with the bathwater and say it was actually created in 1619 because of like the slave trade or something like that.
That makes me want to tear down some statues.
Yeah, tear down some statues. Let's do it. Joking.
Yeah, it's gotten really ridiculous. I mean, you could probably look at every single thing in our past and find something wrong with it to tear it down,
Yeah,
to dissolve it.
it's almost
to
like
get
the
rid of it.
equivalent
Well, yeah,
to
because we progressively changed as we got like to this point, and going back in time,
it's like
you're getting
Alexandria.
worse.
It's like we're
It's like
burning
if
the
you
books.
if you actually traveled back in time, you'd have to deal with all the stuff that we got rid of
It's
now, that we're dealing with now.
Right.
We're not not in this time, in this COVID time. I mean, pre-COVID.
Well,
It's like we're burning up our own Alexandria library.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
appease everybody's their feelings, their beliefs, or their desires. We don't want this in our life, so you're going to have to get rid of it because our voice matters now.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
What
it's
happened
like
to everybody's voice mattering?
It only matters as long as you disagree, though. Like if
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
point.
it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre, and it's
There has
like,
to be division. It's all about division.
and you have to be
argue with each
disagreeing
other. That's what
from
it's all
their
about.
vantage point. The most important thing is you have to disagree from their vantage point. You can't disagree as a conservative. You have to disagree as a liberal. Like,
Right.
like, because you could burn for the same things that the other side pulls. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
See, what I don't understand is what you say when you're not part of the game at all. What do you do? Like
burn
they
them.
want you.
they lump you in.
They want
They
you.
lump you in one
literally-
way or another.
No, they want
I don't like
they
that.
want you destroyed. They want
Yeah.
the people. Anybody who does not acquiesce and bend the knee shall be destroyed in their eyes. It doesn't matter. So silence is violence. That's one of their mottos.
Yeah.
Silence is violence. Okay, so if you don't want to be involved, that's considered
You're
an
being
aggression toward them,
Yeah.
dude.
And
So
Exactly.
yeah, losing your job isn't enough. They want you broke.
No.
They want you on the street. They want
Which is
you
double
dying.
speak
dude, I'm
from
telling you. So
1984.
if
Straight
you
up.
really look into these people and how they operate,
The Jesuits? I know. I have.
yeah, well, I mean, like the communists, and I mean, it goes into
Same
a
thing.
lot of different.
It goes in a
things.
lot of
But I
different
mean,
directions. Yeah.
So how their activists operate, I should say, is they operate under the presumption that it's never enough. So if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and once they say, oh, we got to tear down the statue of Jefferson Davis or whatever the Confederate war leader is, that happened to be like the president of the South during that time or something. Some of these statues they're tearing down. First, it's that. Then it's Thomas Jefferson. Then it's Abraham Lincoln. Then it's George Washington. Then it's just the Constitution because it was created by racists. Oh, then it's your rights. Oh, then it's your guns. Now then it's your free speech. Then it's this. Then it's that, because it all comes from whatever they'll just say whatever they want. But
it starts with that first compromise. It starts with that first compromise.
There's a guy called his name's Antonio Gramsci, Antonio Gramsci, who is really the connector between the Karl Marx communist ideology and today. He's the guy who said we need to infiltrate the institutions of America and the West and eventually degrade their culture, because the reason why they haven't adopted communism yet, like Russia did, was because they had strong cultural institutions like Christianity, like the Magna Carta, the Constitution, and individual rights and stuff like that, that it caused this cultural firewall that couldn't be penetrated by the communists. And in Russia, for whatever reason, they had a different mindset, and they were able to do it there, but not in England, not in the United States, etc. But he said if you infiltrate mainly the churches and education, those are the two big ones, churches and education, and eventually make them progressive, and then eventually get them to be basically communists and Marxists, that's how you would do it over time, generations. and he was like a huge proponent of this, like in the 30s and 40s and into the 50s, and then after his generation, it was taken up by there's another figure, I forget their name. I forget their name right now, but who is basically his protege and brought it about to a large degree. And obviously, it's not just one person that brings it, but it's mainly influenced by these huge intellectuals. And this was part of it. And what's his name? KGB guy talked about it. We mentioned earlier. Bezmenov, right? And so reading what the Marxists did and what the Soviet people went through in the 20th century is a huge pointer as to what this is going to lead to. And there are people, if you talk to anybody, older folks who went through communism, who now live here. So if you talk to like Russians or some Eastern Europeans and stuff, people who lived in East Germany, who live here in America now, if you talk to these people, they'll all tell you the same stuff going on right now is what they saw in their respective communist countries leading up to their workers' revolution that they had, and the absolute tyranny, dreadful nightmare that was communism. It was the same exact thing. People started being afraid to speak out. This is what they describe. People before the revolution happened, people were afraid to speak out. They were afraid to lose their job. They were afraid to be, ridiculed, etc. You had everyone following orders. You had demoralization and no spiritual in touch, like foundation with God that, was eroded. You had like pornography being pushed and, stuff like that. And this is one of the reasons why you had a reaction from the Nazis, because they were trying to do this in Germany before like Stalin, before East Germany happened, let's just put it that way. Before the war, they were trying to do this in Germany to a huge extent. The population of people doing it there in Germany happened to be Jewish, a lot of them, and that's why Hitler and the Nazis hated Jews, is because they hated them. They were very, very angry that they saw a lot of the people trying to do this as stemming from like Ashkenazi Jewish, whatever. So they went crazy and wanted to kill them all and did a bunch of horrible things. So they, I guess, kind of had a little bit of an overreaction there, but so they started, doing
tiny bit.
a lot of bad stuff. But the whole point is, a lot of what they were against were like pornography and stuff, and that's what the communists always sort of push. And I don't want to harp directly on that, but it's just like this demoralization in all forms, right, across the spectrum. And it goes every which way, and then that fear of being able to speak your own mind, and everybody's just following orders.
It's when one's value, like when the evaluation, like self-evaluation, starts to really get undermined, then the sum total of all people's morals becomes very diminished, like over time. Like it's they say it's all about quality, not quantity. Well, in a way, it is also about quantity. Like we need more people actually like consciously like giving a shit. Like things would be a lot further along, a lot more fair if people were just giving things some rational thought. But of course, that's the last thing that the powers that be want. They don't want rational thought to overpower, because it's a lot easier to call in, let's say, the National Guard when there's a riot because people are acting stupid and at their base pattern or at their reptilian level of their brain thinking space. It's absolutely insanity.
Yeah, it's also this idea that there's no. I feel like most people, and probably not us, right? At least not me. Mm-hmm. Most people are totally lost. So they have no moral foundation, and they don't know like what they're heading toward. And look, you can call like the moon landing a hoax and stuff, whatever. A lot of people do, and it probably was. But the whole thing is like people still have that mindset of they were shooting for the stars. They still had obviously religious morals too. So it was like a really good combination of spiritual collective mindset that was driving people, like the average person, right? In the back of their head, they had this idea of like a Star Trek civilization. They had a bedrock of Christian morals. They had this just like mind-blowingly phenomenal momentum of spiritual guidance just leading them. And
Right.
now it's all been eroded. It's all gone. Like all of that is gone. So, space is basically gone, right? And then you also have, like I said before a million times, the morals being degenerated, and all those, mainly Christian morals being erased.
Yeah.
And so now people are depressed. Look at depression. Like I said before, depression's at an all-time high, like beyond what anybody could comprehend, even before the scamslemic, right? And also look at how people act. And if you look at like what they value and think is funny, it's all self-deprecating humor of how depressed and how much they eat.
Yeah.
And
hey, by the way, comedians are the only ones who are allowed to use self-deprecating humor. Like, I wish regular people would just stop doing that, because in the wrong hands, it's dangerous. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Well, if you look before, and I mean, as far as I know, a lot of comedians before like the past 20 years weren't always really like that. I mean, you had George Carlin. I mean, they would do some self-deprecation. I mean, that's fine. I mean, but it's nowadays it's always about just being lethargic and having no life. And
I know what you're getting at. Yeah,
kids.
Yeah.
And
that's more the apathetic kind of
I saw this meme the other day of like somebody like a popular Facebook, or it was like a really popular, huge following, like leftist person. It was some woman. And I saw a few YouTubers talk about it too, how she posted like, you're getting old, or signs of getting old it feels like, or signs of being 30, right? And it's like this list of things that happen when you're depressed, right? So it's like, you never want to get out of bed. You're always hurting and aching.
Hey, that's like me right now.
Nothing makes sense anymore. Like you have no motivation to do anything. It's like, this is kind of this just sounds like you're depressed. Like it doesn't really sound like getting old. It sounds like you're depressed. I mean, plenty of older people have reason to get out of bed in the morning. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you guys seen Zardoz?
Huh?
Have you guys seen Zardoz? That movie from the late 80s or early 80s called Zardoz?
No. Why does it ring a bell though? What's the premise?
Oh, it's a weird movie. It is it stars Sean Connery of all people, and he's wearing like Speedos the whole time. So
That's gotta be entertaining.
Right?
Wow.
And he's got
old Sean Connery or young
like,
Sean Connery?
This weird head that comes through and drops a bunch of guns off from the mouth into these people that are breeders. I mean, no, the non-breeders, and then they go and take the non-breeders take the guns and they go and kill the breeders. Really crazy movie. But it's all the Zardoz part. It's supposed to be Wizard of Oz, and the only part is Zard Oz, because there's parts missing, and there's this moment like chit-chat line. But the reason I brought this up is because in that movie, Sean Connery comes across these people that he's never seen before in like a land that he's brought to, and it's and they call them apathetics. They just don't move until they see him, and then they all of a sudden like go to him and start trying to touch him and stuff. It's very weird.
Well, like I was saying before,
but those people are represented by the people that like don't care. Like they're so don't care. They just don't even move anymore.
But
we're not programmed to live how we're living.
We're becoming that in this COVID world with like staying home and watching TV all the time and not caring about whatever's being portrayed.
It's easier though to undo something than it is to really work hard to do something.
You
And
need to
like,
see that movie. You need to do a review.
I'll have to do. I'll have to check it out. I think
weird
I
shit in
think
there.
I have seen it actually, like in my childhood, because it sounds like something I'd find on First Choice Super Channel back in the day or something. But anyway,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's a lot easier to undo something, like, you know, especially when people doing the exact opposite of what you should be doing is everywhere and all around you, because that, you know, that little bit of a moral compass that you might have will slowly start to get more diffuse as, you know, as everyday shit just, it's just, you know, like, you know, your TV is just a little more violent than it was yesterday, you know, it's just a little bit more bloody, or there's just a little bit more swearing on the radio today than there was yesterday. Like there's going to be, and it's easier to undo something that way, so, like, and unravel it slowly, than it is to build up a tolerant, not a tolerance, but I should say a better way of doing something, which is kind of like, I guess kind of funny, because on the flip side of that, where we talk about things like hate speech and being reactive, you gotta hate some shit for like change to take place. So I'm kind of for hate speech a little bit. Like you kind of have to hate something before you want to bring about changing it. You know what I mean? Like you can't just go around liking everything. It's not all puppy dogs and cuddly cuddles and what have you.
It's about having it with a balance, not division.
Well, they consider. I mean, it's not even. It's beyond just hate speech now. Obviously, I mean, it's like,
well, they made hate illegal.
Like,
they've made that obvious, right?
Yeah, I mean, just saying he or she is like hate speech now. It's like, it's just cartoonish, man. It's cartoonish.
It just depends on what you're directing it towards.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even matter anymore, because
but it's crazy because you have to think about it ahead of time, like if you're telling a story or something.
Well, let's put it this way: if a company or a corporation or an organization says something, it puts out an ad where they say like he or she, like as a general statement, you know, he or she might have, let's say a pharma commercial, big pharma commercial. They should be banned anyway, but you know, a big pharma commercial said, if he or she takes this pill, he or she blah blah blah. You know, that's just like an example, a generic example.
Yeah, they probably have to add they now.
Yeah, they would have to take that down. That would be hate speech. So like, if
it gets caught,
yeah,
that's what it comes down to, is who's watching and who catches it.
Right, people would complain because it's a vocal minority of psychopaths that have been tricked and conned by you know, satanic Marxists who want to ruin everything. So you know, they're the ones that basically buy into this to the point where they're calling these companies and writing them, and you know, you see a Twitter mob go after them just for saying he or she or something, or literally. So another huge one. This is a huge one that I've come to notice. Once you're aware of this, you'll see how much of a programming mechanism it is, and how overt and blatant it is.
Mm-hmm.
Every single like commercial you see, not that I even watch a lot of TV, but even like the newer shows and stuff, the past 5 years, you know, anything you watch, mostly on TV or on the internet, even that's mainstream or corporate in any way, entertainment, whatever, it will have, especially these commercials where like it's all mixed race couples. It's all, there's no such thing. Like if a corporation were to air a commercial today of you know, a white family that has, you know, buys a new car, and they're all like, let's say they're all just like a white family, whatever, and it's just a happy-go-lucky family, that would be considered hate. I guarantee you they would ban that commercial. No corporation dares.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's true. You know, it's true too.
Well, what I've seen,
somebody would see it and be like, "That's white supremacy."
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
It would be used, you know.
Yeah.
Like with the amount of virtue signaling that's out today, like, I mean, it's also gotten to a point where it's, if you can't make common sense of something, or you know, or be cool with something over here, something over on the other side of the spectrum is going to completely change, and like and the goalposts suddenly change, and that's one of the big things that they've been doing lately. Like and when I say they, I just mean like these Twitter mobs and these cancel culture based mentalities, and a lot of them are just unpaid, regular, everyday Joes sitting in their damn basements. You know,
Well, no, you know what they are, right? They're people who now have no direction or morals or anything, so they turn to this new religion. That's what it is, basically.
Of instant gratification, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a new religion of diversity and inclusion, and on top of that, it's very cult-like.
I agree.
Like if people who work at corporations and stuff will know what I'm talking about, because I've been through it too. It's this very cult-like mentality. It's almost, well, it's a religious cult.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So it's this atmosphere in which there's all sorts of diversity trainings where you have to confess your sins of being white. This is all going on, right? You have to admit you have biases and do
It's
all
like a
this
ritual.
thing, and say like, how am I going to use my privilege? They used to do this during the time of like the Salem witch trials. You had a lot of Christians doing this in the Puritan circles here in the United States, where they would go way too far and have people societally like try to as a group say how horrible and bad they were, and then try to identify the witches and warlocks that were amongst them to have them executed when they were just all going crazy, right? So this is the same exact mentality in a way, except it's just like this cult of diversity, like where this stuff it really is like a cult. It's very similar to what you would see in something like drink the Kool-Aid and wear your Nikes while the comet flies over, and it's like where do some of these ideas come from? I'm not even sure where some of these ideas come from.
Well, I feel like the whole vaccine thing is just like that. It's like do this or else. It's like it's the same as
each other.
It's like I mean I watch a lot of cult documentary and movies and shit like that, and try to understand how they work and why they work that way, and how they indoctrinate people, and I found that there's certain ones that actually kidnap people and turn them into the cult. So it's like you're not even going in willingly. And I feel like that's what's happening to us.
Yeah, but it's like Stockholm syndrome.
Except we're not kidnapped. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more
right.
but you have to
no, I totally
Stockholm
you're
syndrome,
absolutely right.
You accept it over time because
right,
and then you like fall in love with it.
You fall, yeah, because people will fool themselves to say like, I guess this is what I have to be like now, and then eventually they're just like that.
That's the standards changing over time. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's just like in 1984 at the end where he was being tortured. Winston was being tortured, right? And at the end, after weeks, months, whatever of torture, they got him to say, "I love Big Brother." And the creepiest thing about it is he admits that he actually did love Big Brother. Like they tortured him to the point where he had to admit it, and they kept torturing him to the point where he genuinely loved Big Brother.
Yeah.
How creepy is that? Like that was like the last paragraph of the book, I remember. And that's basically what a lot of people do go through, but some people just buy it right away, it's like a cult, but they play into each other. You have the cancel culture sort of cultural Marxist leftist diversity cult, but you also have the mask wearing vaccine taking cult. They're all one and the same. Though it's like this, like different aspects of the cult. It's like if you have a cult sort of religion, like a fake religion, a false prophet religion, you're going to have different chapters of the book that tell you how to do certain things and that covered certain topics.
Well, also usually there's a leader, and there's no leader in this case.
Well, cults usually have leaders.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
In this, but there is cults without leaders. Like think of the Freemasons. Like their leaders are hidden masters. Think of the Illuminati or the Cult of Rome or Club of Rome or the Trilateral Commission. These are all cults, but they don't have leaders.
Well, they have a leader.
Well,
It's Satan, I think.
I mean,
but
a physical representation.
That's getting into some, right, like a human form. Yeah.
Whereas the other cults
no,
too, like
you're
Koresh and what do you call it, Jonestown.
Well, I think when you're
that dude from the FLDS, these different, they were leaders.
I think what happens is these things kind of turn into chapters, though, don't they? Like they kind of they take on, they start to take on their own individual instances, like as they develop. I mean, that's usually the insidious nature of it too. I mean, they usually move to another spot, they infect a small area of a population, we'll call it, and then they spring from there, and their ideals get spread to other people who eventually go and start up their own chapters and so on and so forth. But I mean, it's kind of gotten to a point now where it's gotten silly. Like there's like every aspect of classification has become its own individual kind of a sub-religion of some other like indoctrination. Like I just don't see it personally, but apparently other people do. It's bizarre, man. What's been going on with average everyday people. But are you familiar with the True Colors series of tests? Have you ever heard of that, Tom?
No.
Doom, have you ever heard of that? True Colors? It's kind of like a categorization examination of like your skills, your interests. It cross correlates things to find out what kind of a personality you are, and it's kind of boiled down to a number. To a number, but that also corresponds with a color. So like there's like 4 basic colors, and you're all 4 colors representatively speaking, but you'll lean more towards one or favor one or two of them. So you'll have numbers people. Some people are more abstract and creative. Some are more pragmatic, so you have these different categories. And that got me thinking a long time ago about how people are physically categorized, whether it be by blood, by genetics, by all sorts of other aspects. And I think a lot of that does play in. And I think Professor Doom might also kind of have a little bit of insight into this area as well. What do you say?
Are you talking about the different structures of human
humans
mind?
Yeah, based on either blood, genetics. You break it down.
Absolutely.
I know you've done a lot of research on this.
Oh yeah. So there is, I remember reading this book, and they had these different brain, I don't know how you want to call it, chemistry or brain wiring, a pragmatist, analyst, so on and so forth. I happen to be an analyst, and my late dad, he was also an analytical mind too. What's interesting is that we're both O negative. Okay. So I know that probably doesn't mean much, right?
I'm O negative and also analytic as well. So
see, I'm O positive.
Right. well, okay, that's it, but you're still analytical mind, right? Or are you one of those just
I'm a bit of both. I favor analysis and creativity. Like I'm kind of as introverted as I am extroverted. I'm a weird kind of quasi going 2 different directions.
Okay. So the problem I have being very analytical minded is that when I go to explain my thoughts in certain things, I tend to have it long drawn out because I want to make my point so that all avenues of what I'm saying could be fully understood.
Yeah, you're great at parties, eh?
Oh yeah. It's like, because I know if I leave some little minor detail, it's going to be they're somehow going to go, well, you didn't say that.
Yeah. Well, or they're going to conflate this with something else, and no.
Right.
Yeah, but a lot of times they don't let you finish, right?
Well, exactly, because they're like, oh God, is this going to take long? Is this going to take much longer? Because the party's almost over. I'm just saying that these different brain wirings, I do believe, have to do with the blood type of an individual. And let me give you an example of what I mean. So I was doing a little study on people who lived past lives. And what I noticed is that all of the information that was coming up from a lot of the people who were claiming that they experienced this were Rh negative. Now, why is that important? Well, it just so happens that out of the Rh negative and Rh positive, Rh negative cannot be cloned. So I want you to think about this for a second. You remember the movie Stargate and the movie X-Men Apocalypse? And do you remember in both movies, the same character, Ra, he uploaded his conscious into a human host. That was both movies did that. You would think that if he was such a far advanced being that he would be able to just clone himself and would continue on for perpetuity, right? Well, that's not what it was showing. It was showing that he uploaded to make him to make it where he existed and kept going on and on. So my thing now or my belief is that these people who are living past lives, were they some Rh negative individual in the past who had somehow uploaded their conscious into a unborn yet human host to continue on?
Yeah.
That's interesting because that's my theory about myself. What you just described. Essentially, for instance, have you, in your studies of the past life experiences, did you come across any people that claim to be from the future? Or had any future lives, if you will, like remembering something that hasn't happened yet?
That data I was not looking for. I was looking for I was looking for the blood types of these individuals who were claiming to have experienced this, not looking for the data of where did they claim that they grew up at, or what city that they were claiming that they had lived in the past life. None of that. It was basically, I wanted to know, like I said, the blood type.
Yeah. It's funny to say that.
But that was interesting what you said, though.
Most people that I've come across that are either creative individuals to one extent or another have the O has always been the biggest part of their blood type, was always the O. Like, you've always had this sense of there's something more, whereas I found that A's and B's were typically more associated like with numbers specifically, but not beyond that. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, great accountants, but horrible, horrible writers, like horrible historians, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Comments?
So all I can say is about myself, because I haven't been able to go out in the world and study people of O negative or even Rh negative for the most part. But about myself, when I was growing up and I had my own personal battles with childhood and stuff and going to school, I dropped out the first semester of the 9th grade. Okay.
I waited till 10 at least.
Well, okay, you went, yeah, you made it pretty far then, huh? I didn't care, but I'll tell you this. Later on, I was able to pick up everything super quick, super easy. Everything just came so easy to me. I got my GED, studied everything from words, science, history, all that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you need this? Okay, why don't you just say so? There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Have some of this, and then oh, you need some of that too. Here. Okay. Why don't you?
Yeah.
That's how I am too. It's like I just find what I need when I need it, and there you go. have at her, you know. Tom is back.
Hey guys, I gotta get going. I gotta do something, then I gotta go to bed. I'm really tired. But hey, by the way, I'm O too. I'm O blood
Yeah.
type too.
There,
Yeah,
there you go.
I forget if it's
interesting.
positive or negative, but I'm definitely O. Just thought you guys should know.
That's cool. That's cool. It's funny because I thought I was O negative until I got my dog tags in the military. So I put an O negative on everything, and then slowly I took the Sharpie and I just changed everything to positive. I just had to put one extra line through it.
Yeah.
Everything
Whoops.
I owned. But I digress. Anyway, thanks for coming out there. I really appreciate it, Press. Hope
hey,
you join us
Press.
next weekend. We'll do this again.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Good
Press,
to see you,
before
Press.
go, I just wanted to say, you know what? Hey, it's good to be back, and it's good to be here with you, buddy, and seeing you once again.
Yeah, likewise, man. I'm really glad to hear from you. Stay in touch. What do you want? Are you on Twitter or anything, or what do you?
I am. I am. Yeah, it's under my name, Philip Craigie, and then it's at Professor_Doom1.
Okay.
So,
All right. Yeah. I'll follow you. I don't know. Maybe I'm already following you. I'm not sure, but I'll follow you. And yeah, I'll see you guys. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. I'll come on whenever I can. Hopefully next weekend. That'd be cool too. And we'll do something. But I'm out. Peace out, guys.
All right, buddy.
All right, buddy.
Peace out.
Sounds good.
Later.
Cheers.
Peace.
Yeah. So I didn't know. I don't know exactly how long you had planned to have this go on. Let's see. It's 9:13. I was hoping to be at the singing hole here by 9:30, but
You got some karaoke to do there, bud?
well, yeah, bud. That's
Oh,
my
right on.
thing.
Well, I'll tell you what. Listen, next time maybe we'll have a karaoke feed on here. Maybe we'll do some
There you go.
we'll live stream some karaoke right from our own servers.
Well, I got a couple of videos of maybe I'll have to upload those.
some
Put
performance
them on
podcasts.
BeerTube. Are
I'll
you
tell
on
you what-
BeerTube yet?
No, not yet.
Oh,
No.
you can
Yeah,
you
put
can
them on BeerTube when
Yeah.
you do that.
apparently we're live streaming on BeerTube, and you can upload your videos there, man. I'll send you a link for sure, and it's pretty cool to use. It's a lot like YouTube. It's federated, so we're actually connected to other servers on the internet, and it's kind of neat.
Yeah, and check out my if you do go to BeerTube and check out my channel, check out the latest I put out. They're like 80s compilations. There's a horror one and a regular, like as if you're watching TV in the 80s, like from
I'll tell you
1980.
this, buddy. I'll tell you this. I will do as long as, and I hate bringing up names, especially from the past, but as
Yeah.
long as this doesn't turn into a Zachary Hubbard type fiasco.
Yeah, no worries,
Oh,
man.
Oh, from my
I'll
channel? No,
check it
my
out.
channel is not.
We're tougher
But,
now.
not here. Not
we-
on the.
We've
not on
learned
the,
some
BeerTube.
lessons. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there, Gematria. But hey, we're stronger, we're better, we're more. I guess you could say. We're it's almost like we're the old school. Like we're it now. Hang on a second here. I'm trying to get my OBS to play nice, and it's not.
Yeah, everybody else is gone
Yeah.
or passed away.
Well, it's been an interesting, few months.
I'm not
here.
even one of you people. I'm just like here. I'm just.
Well,
a
you were
viewer.
there though. You were there like during that whole big fiasco back in the day. I mean,
I
things
experienced it. Yeah.
things got a little bit dire, I have to say. Like things definitely got a bit crazy. I did want to send a shout out though to the chat if I could find the goddamn window again because it's here somewheres. But there it is. I found it. So Salty Saves, Joshua Jane, Spam Rock, and Wake and Bake. Thanks, guys. I was going to do that sooner, but everybody was just having a good run with the mouth and talking, and it was just good to hear from everyone. Yeah, man, Doom, it's been a real good time, man. It's kind of like the old days in a way. It brings me back.
I didn't get to really have a lot of input on this round right here. Next time, well, maybe whatever that was too.
Sorry, it was my phone.
Yeah, like I said, there's been a lot of things that have been going on in my life that just it's just not as important to me as it once was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I get that,
it's
man.
lost its.
You know, it's kind of
It's not.
it's upsetting, but
harder
at the
to.
same time, it's a
But you'll
sobering
find you
thought.
can do it again on BeerTube. You can
Mhm.
do it again like you used to on BeerTube,
Yeah,
whereas
yeah.
you couldn't on
You will not
on YouTube.
you will not get censored on any platform on our servers, man. You have you got the run of the house, bro. You can run around naked if you want. I mean, I won't look, but hey.
Censorship is the farthest thing from being an issue in this whole thing.
Oh, okay.
I kind of
Yeah,
agree with
no.
you, like in the big picture.
But yeah, I understand.
But
you know, you hold things being dear to you are important, and one of the things that I always held important was reaching people who were not exposed to any kind of stuff like this.
yeah,
And it made me feel good when someone came to me, you know, in a direct message and said, you know what, yours was one of the first videos I seen that woke me up.
well,
That's why I do this,
Yeah.
because YouTube is still one of the only platforms where you have a chance of reaching somebody who has not been exposed to any of this.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be
Go to all those other platforms, they cater to all of us now. That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
The censorship
I'm
aspect.
going to be doing some number crunching there, Doom, and I'm going to find out what my bandwidth is like, and check that out with the CPU load, and see how I'm doing sending off to 3 different stream recipients. Hopefully next week we'll be sending off to Facebook at the same time, and I'm going to try another one and just add a couple each week until I break the server.
Okay, but
Hey, before you go, preview it for him. So show him the 80s horror thing, just like the first couple of things.
oh, I will. I will go on there and check it out. As a matter of fact, if you
No, I wanted him to show it on the live feed so people could see a
okay.
little piece of it.
And if you would leave a link right there, and I will leave this right here, because I do have to run to the boys' room
Okay.
here real quick.
Sure.
Understandable.
And, okay. All right, gentlemen. You guys have a good night, and check it out next week. Let's do this again. Let's have a
Absolutely.
little bit more of a structured
Yeah,
topics.
I was just happy as hell to have you
you have
both.
a topic?
And
I know.
we'll,
I realize. I got you.
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off camera, and we'll get something.
Yeah, it was
nice
kind
and
of like a
structured
little
for next week.
reunion for you guys.
Yeah,
it was kind of cool.
It was more just to have you guys in at the same time, and there was a lot of good stuff in here. So I do appreciate you coming out, Doom, and we'll definitely have to set something up.
Okay, buddy. All right. You guys have a good night.
All right.
Peace, man.
Great. And thanks for everybody that's actually watching. And hey, don't eat yellow snow. Peace out.